This next tale that I'm about to tell you is actually based after kind of a real story. It began when me and my family went to Turkey on the island of Heybeli off the coast of Istanbul in the Marmara Sea. And I dedicate this story to my friend Scott Mackey. I think I told this story once before, actually, on my channel. I dedicate it to Scott Mackey and my friend Rumeysa and Dilruba Kalin and my sister Jamila, and the fond memories and times we had briefly on the Heybeli Island. He just turned to me. We're on a watchtower, and Scott Mackey turned to me and he starts saying, Your Majesty, there's pirates. So anyway, this is the story that I dedicate to my friends, called The King of Heybeli Island. Once upon a time, long ago, in the far-off enchanted Marmara Sea, on the island of Heybeli, there ruled a great and mighty king. King Harun, Quiet Owl was his name. He loved his people well and compassionately, but sometimes he did have a bit of a temper, and would be somewhat cruel, especially to the apple of his eye, his beloved daughter, Princess Rumeysa. He wanted her to be a right proper lady and to act like it at all times. He never let her do any of the cool fun stuff, like horseback riding, like the boys did, and not side saddle, like a proper lady should, or archery, or sword play, or even magic. Oh, how Princess Rumeysa dearly wanted to learn magic. Her father, the king, Harun, well, he had a sorceress who she was best friends with. She was named Jamila, and Rumeysa would beg Jamila to teach her. Oh, Jamila, please teach me all the magic that you know. But Jamila's reply was always the same. Nay, princess, your father, the king, would never allow such a thing. Do not ask me again. Now, King Harun had a valiant general, the commander of the troops on the island. His name was Scott Mackey, and his right hand lady best warrior was Dilruba, another valiant warrior who always had kept a feather in her hair and was the master of the bow. Well, one fine, bright, sunny day, the king and his commander were on top of the high tower looking out towards the sea. King Harun was lost quite deep in thought, getting rather sad and melancholy, when Commander Magleel nudged the king, crying, Your Majesty, there are pirates on the water. Do you see? They're coming to the island. They wish to steal your kingdom and your throne. What shall we do, Your Majesty? King Harun looked up at the sea, and there before his eyes he beheld the 5 ships of the Crimson Brotherhood coming straight for his island. Raise the alarm! Cried the king, and all the guards and troops hustled into formation, ringing the warning bells to all the island. Princess Rumeysa dashed to her father's side. Father, I can fight. Please let me, oh please. No, my daughter, you must not. I could not bear to lose you. Guards, escort the princess to her room immediately, and make sure she stays there and does not leave, for if she does, it will be your heads. The guards gulped and did as the king commanded. Meanwhile, Dilruba and Skotka were pairing the ballistas with giant bolts to fire at the pirate ships. Closer, cried Skotka. Put the ballista closer to the cliff, as to reach the approaching ships better. The men did this and started to launch the ballistas at the ships, when all of a sudden Scott Mackey heard a sharp voice from behind him saying, Scott Mackey, that is too dangerous for the troops. They may fall over the cliff and hurt themselves. It was the voice of Scott Mackey's wife, Nuria of the Shimmering Light. Scott Mackey turned to face his stern-faced wife in a calm voice and demeanor. Skotka said to his wife, Oh yes, my dear, you are right. I am careless. How careless of me. We shall reposition the ballista. a little further back for safety. So the ballista were positioned. Bolts were launched through the air straight at the pirate ships, which all sank. They sank all but two, of which turned tail and fled on to the horizon. Huzzah! Huzzah! Everyone cried. The pirates were defeated. We won't ever see them again, some cried. Not bloody likely, said Jamila the sorceress as she rolled her eyes and left to go into her study. So as the days passed, King Haroun became very mighty indeed, and his fame from having defeated the pirates ran straight to his head, so much that he acted very high and mighty over everyone, and he thought to himself, this would be the best chance to raise taxes, and I can become even richer. Raise taxes he did. The people started to hate their once good-hearted king. Meanwhile, Princess Rumeysa grew distraught, being cooped up in a palace all day, never being allowed to have fun and play, and only being allowed to do good, proper ladylike things. So one day Princess Rumeysa decided to conspire with the royal commander, Scott Mackey. Skotka, you would make a much better king than my dreaded father. Everyone loves you far more. I say we conspire to slay my father. Scott looked concerned. But he knew how the people of Heybeli were suffering, so he decided he didn't want to see the people suffer, so he decided to help Rumeysa end King Haroun's life. So on the royal feast day of Sant Paraskeva, October 14th, Skotka kept the king occupied in conversation, for Rumeysa slipped the powdered poison she'd stolen from Jamila the sorceress into his drink. "A toast, your majesty. I'd like to make to your good health, and to your victory you had a year ago against those dreaded pirates, the Crimson Brotherhood," Scott Mackey declared as he raised his cup to the sky. "Aha, yes," roared King Haroun as he doused the whole cup of mead in one go. Immediately King Haroun started to gag. In violent convulsions, and with moments later he lay dead on the ground. There were great shouts of gasp through the hall, and Skotka yelled, "The Crimson Brotherhood pirates! They've poisoned the king, for sure! We must seek them out and make them pay!" So as the days followed, as was the custom of the land, seeing as Rumeysa was too young to inherit the throne, Scott Mackey was made the new king regent in her stead. His first order of business was to send a letter by Dilruba, the new commander of the troops. Dilruba was now the new commander of the troops, to the Crimson Brotherhood, to send this message to the Crimson Brotherhood. Dilruba, post-haste, delivered the letter to the Crimson Brotherhood's hideout without delay. The pirate chief, the great Ibrahim Oguz, was infuriated at having read King Skotka's letter. "Dear Pirate King Ibrahim Oguz of the Crimson Brotherhood, thou knaves, all of you, dare to poison King Haroun. We will not rest until we have wiped your kind off the face of the earth. Of this I swear, by the beard of the Holy Prophet, you will all pay dearly. Signed sincerely, King Skotka Mackey of Heybeli. Who is this Skotka? He dares accuse I, Ibrahim Oguz, the grand pirate king of all the Marmara Sea, of regicide? It was probably he who poisoned our own king, and dare blame it on us. Very well, Captain Dilruba, take this as a message to your new king. It is he who should pay dearly for this treachery, not I, nor any of my men. Tell your new king this. Tell him to watch his own back." Dilruba returned to Heybeli, where she told King Skotka of what the pirate king told her. King Skotka looked very worried and distressed. "I don't know, Dilruba. This does not bode well for us. We must be wary of a pirate attack in the near future. We must be very careful," So as the months passed, and still no sign of the pirates on the Heybeli waters, King Skotka had Dilruba restock the garrison and the navy, which had only 3 ships, and prepped the defence of the Heybeli castle. Months passed by yet again, and still no sign of the pirates, until one day King Skotka woke up and went to the Princess Rumeysa's room to get her for breakfast. They would be having simmet bread and black Greek olives with hazelnut spread from the Black Sea region. "Rumeysa, dear, time for breakfast," he cried. But when he opened her door and looked around, on her bed was a note. "Dear new King of Heybeli, King Skotka, we have taken the Princess Rumeysa as hostage, and we will not return her until you tell the people who really killed their king. Signed, Pirate King Ibrahim Oguz of the Crimson Brotherhood." King Skotka was outraged and distressed beyond the shadow of a doubt. He wanted to fling himself into the Marmara Sea and end it all. "What should I do? What should I do?" cried Skotka, not knowing what to do. He went to the high tower of the castle to see Jamila the sorceress. Did I say Jamila? I meant Rumeysa. I'm sorry. I don't know. Maybe I didn't. King Skotka frantically pounded on her door. "Just one damn moment," cried Jamila from within. She opened the door, and there Jamila the sorceress stood in a long flowing azure robe and pants of Indian style. "Oh, yes, your majesty. You are in need of my help, I see." "Yes," cried King Skotka. "It's Princess Rumeysa. She is in dire trouble. She has been kidnapped by the Crimson Pirates, and they say they will only return her if I tell them who really killed our King Haroun. What should I do? You must help me, please." "Well, first of all, I don't have to help you with anything. You got yourself into this mess, and you can get yourself out. But I do care deeply for Princess Rumeysa, and I don't want to see her hurt. So I will tell you what. I'll tell you what." After this there was a long pause between them, and then King Skotka spoke. "Yes? What is it?" asked King Skotka. "Yes, as I was saying, the only one who can save Princess Rumeysa and put an end to the pirates' tyranny once and for all is none other than King Haroun himself." "But King Haroun is dead," cried King Skotka. "How is he supposed to help?" "Fear not," said the sorceress, "for where there is a will, there is a way." Jamila the sorceress calmly went over to her desk, picked up what looked like a light blue flower. "Here, this is the flower of the forgetful moon. Take it to Haroun in his tomb in the royal mausoleum, and put it under his nose. It will revive him from the dead, and he will think he was no more than sleeping in his garden." So without further delay, King Skotka hurried to the royal mausoleum with the flower and opened Haroun's crypt and put the flower under his nose. Immediately King Haroun slowly opened his eyes. He sat up and looked around. "Where am I? Oh, 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 such a wonderful nap I've had, and such a wonderful dream. I dreamt I was with my beloved Itsu in Dariush's barn in paradise." I dreamt I was. Not knowing what to make of these words, Skotka interjected and said, "Your Majesty, I didn't mean to disturb your peaceful sleep, but we have dire problems. Your daughter, the Princess Rumeysa, has been kidnapped by the pirates of the Crimson Brotherhood." Upon hearing this, King Haroun got up and made no time to waste and roared, "How dare they?
Those bastards, if they think I was lenient with them the first time, this time I will make them pay for sure. Prepare my ships. Build more if you have to.
And so a whole fleet of ships was built and fully armed to the hilt ballistas and archers and men-at-arms, and King Haroun, Quiet Owl, and Scott Mackey set out to make the pirates pay. Onward King Haroun's armada sailed far out into the west where the pirates kept their lair, and as they approached the pirates' hideout, the alarm was raised, and the crimson pirate ship sailed out to meet King Haroun's armada. King Ibrahim Oguz was at the head.
Ah, so that upstart King Skotka thinks he can defeat me, does he? First he tries to frame me, and then he tries to flame me?
He said, just as a flaming ballista bolt slammed in the side of one of his ships. "Oh, that's got to hurt," cried Dilruba from the king's headship. More ballista bolts were fired, and Ibrahim Oguz's main ship itself was breached by King Haroun. King Haroun leaped off of his ship into Ibrahim Oguz's ship in full battle frenzy, slashing left and right with his scimitar. More and more of the pirates started fleeing in fright, seeing a supposedly dead King Haroun arisen from his grave. Haroun, not understanding why, nor caring, leaped back and fought, slaughtering them all as he went. Pirate blood totally drenching his face, hacking and slashing until Haroun stood face to face with Ibrahim Oguz. The pirate king was in shock and awe.
But how? He cried. I thought you were dead.
Not as dead as you're about to be, cried Haroun,
as he swept his sword straight into Ibrahim Oguz's neck, killing him instantly. So with the loss of the pirate king, the crimson pirates all surrounded King Haroun's forces, swearing never to plague his island kingdom nor the Marmara Sea ever again, and they all swore loyalty to King Haroun from that day forth. So after the great victory, they counted their losses, and they rested and set sail back to Heybeli, whereas the days followed were quite content. So the days that followed were quite content and merry and peaceful. Rumeysa, being very surprised her father was back to life, but was discreetly informed by Scott and Jamila not to say anything. She wouldn't dare say anything anyway, for obvious reasons. But on this one fine day, Rumeysa was in the royal garden, walking with her father, and she was thinking, maybe he has changed. Maybe, just maybe, my father, he's a better king after the spell of Jamila's flower. So she summoned up all her courage and asked a long-awaited question from her father. "Papa," she cried, "I was doing some thinking. Perhaps now that the pirates are all defeated, perhaps maybe, just maybe, I can learn to sword fight?" she asked with her fingers crossed. Haroun looked at her sternly and said, No.
I think not. You'll put your eye out. A little girl like yourself.
So Rumeysa tried again, asking hopefully, "Well, Jamila the sorceress, right? Well, she is my best friend, and I was wondering if I could learn magic from her, perhaps," Rumeysa asked hopefully, once again crossing her fingers. And once again King Haroun looked at his rambunctious, hopeful-looking daughter, and then finally spoke.
"Well, you see, my daughter, how should I put this?"
"What?" asked Rumeysa.
"Well, you see, I had to let her go. She was fired," answered the king.
"What? Why would you do such a thing? She was my best friend."
"Well, you see, she could never get my coffee just the way I wanted it," answered the king.
"What? That's all? That's the only reason you fired her?" yelled Rumeysa angrily. Oh, I'll get you your coffee from now on, Father, and I guarantee it won't be a cappuccino." And with that, she walked off in a huff. The end.